hit the record. It's okay. This is our Empathy Circle support group, and Stephan will be talking about facilitating empathy circles and the empathy circle work in healthcare in this hospital. Take it away.
So my name's Stephan. I'm a psychiatrist, and I work at a safety net hospital in Brooklyn, New York. And this evening, I'm joined by some of my colleagues. Neetu Akbal, there at the bottom. We have Sharman, and we have Divya. I appreciate the support of this group, and due to nudging of Marta, I think these three folks, she influenced me to, reach for someone, and these three people, showed up and immediately participated in the empathy circle and saw the benefit of it for themselves, and wanted to, spread the empathy circle to other people in the healthcare field. Healthcare systems and hospitals, their priority usually, they say, is on taking care of patients. But certainly at an organization level, I think leadership in healthcare needs to also take care of their healthcare workers, so that those healthcare workers can take care of patients. And I know that sounds like a silly platitude, but it surprisingly has not entered the dialogue, of our culture until very recently. Edwin has been, very aspirational, or has aspired for many years to help build a culture of empathy, more universally, and so in the setting of COVID-19. Healthcare workers are usually able to, in the moment, give themselves and thrive in the moment, taking care of people, and doing it in a selfless way, but also in a way out of a value of altruism that does give something back. But now in this moment of COVID-19, people are still, they are racing ahead and trying to give as much as they can, but they're finding that they're running out of gas, and that was and so Lou and Bill and Marta and Carolina, and of course Edwin. I'm trying to think of particularly, stood up and helped fill the gas tanks slowly, one by one, of some of the healthcare workers, and what I'm starting to get Edwin's starting to rub off on me. I'm starting to have more spacey and idealistic ideas about, let's spread this culture of empathy in medicine and healthcare, and boy, wouldn't that be nice, I can, and I don't think it would be, and I think that the reverberations of that would be very pleasing for patients as well, because I think as organizations take better care of their healthcare workers will be able to thrive and avoid burnout, and will be more attentive, more aware, and more present, and more capable of taking care of their patients. And so, you know, there are many. It's a slow process, a very slow process. And I forget who it was. Eva from Toronto. Is that Toronto or Toronto? Is it? It's, well, Toronto, I think. She was talking about, you know, I think she was saying something about, you know, a certain number of people will be showing up, and you don't know, you know, if you have the appropriate number of facilitators to accommodate, you know, people who show up. You know, one thing that we are doing is we're selecting groups of people to invite. Sometimes it hasn't always worked out this way, but around certain departments or things, so that we know we have a set number of invites. I've never, you know, I think it'd be much more challenging just to, I imagine if you just opened it up to, you know, thousands of people, you know, that could create some problems. But, you know, I do agree with that, Eva, that that's an issue that's worth thinking about further. Lou?
Yeah, I'm so excited about the work that you are doing, you and your team. And I'm wondering if you or the members of your team have any questions about facilitating that you are grappling with or curious about.
Well, I'll open it to some of the others. Maybe I'd love to hear what their questions are.
My question is, when you were first starting out, because I think our issue is that we're first starting out with healthcare workers, what was the best resource you used in order to reach a larger group of people as quickly as possible? I mean, did you use social media, or was it through just word of mouth?
Yeah, so others may want to respond to this too. So I know Edwin's used Facebook a lot.
Mhm.
I'm not on social media. I do think, I think each one invite one, or reaching out to the networks of people that you know, and that way, because people, particularly when you're inviting people to something new and they don't know exactly what it is, how much they trust the people who are asking has a big effect on whether they, A, will even listen, or B, agree to do it. And so, yeah, so I think reaching out to people that you know and you have a connection with, and having them reach out to people that they know, you know, that's a good way to start.
Right. And what do you do when you think you'll get someone on board, but they kind of keep giving you that wishy-washy, yeah, I'll check it out when I get a chance? I guess you kind of just keep persisting, or do you move on to?
What would be your guess about why the person is saying no?
My guess would be that they don't trust the process. That would be my best guess for it, because you know that you're going to be walking into a room of strangers, not necessarily just your peer or your friends, and to talk in front of a group of strangers is very daunting for some.
Yeah, so what I do in a situation like that is, you know, I do an assessment of why I think they're saying no. Like, is it time, or is it, like you're saying, safety? And if it's something that I think I can address by talking to them, then I do. Or maybe send them a recording. Like, if I thought they don't know what this is, so I'll send them a handout and they'll read it. Or if I think I have a handout that will convince them, or if I think maybe if they see a little bit of it, that will encourage them, then I might send them a recording of an empathy circle. Or maybe another strategy I might use with someone would be to say, can I talk to you about this for 15 minutes? And then do a little bit of empathy with them. Try reflecting them and give them a little bit of an experience of it, and say,
Yeah.
well, this is what it is. And the other thing to assess is, if you really don't think you have any of those pathways would work for them, then you maybe don't have a close enough relationship, move on to the next person, kind of let it go for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, Martha, I don't know if you're able to see, she has her hand up.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's tricky. It's tricky also because like you don't want to insist with people because it almost creates this resistance. It corners the empathy circle in that in that bit of their mind. I used to not want to tell people at the start. I didn't want to insist with. I wanted them to come to the empathy circle because it's an amazing thing. It's got all these things to offer. I didn't want them to come because I was telling them. I wanted them to come because of the abstract or the real value of it rather than because of me. And then with time, I've just realized actually, when I convince people, like I lobby them because they're my friends and I'm like, I'm telling you this is good. And then they come and then they experience it and then they love it and they thank me for it. So, I think it's a bit of a balance, but at the moment I'm convinced I'm getting a lot of my close relationships to try it out with more conviction than I used to, maybe some months ago.
I want to comment on that if you're under normal circumstances, if this weren't COVID-19, you can say, hey, just give it a try, just have fun with it. But right now it's a bit different. For example, there are people even that I have a relationship with. And so, just as an example, I keep putting myself out there as here's something, first I started out saying, here's something that, I have that I think could be useful, to you or your colleagues. And what I realize and what I keep getting is, I appreciate what you're saying. Unfortunately, I don't have the time. And so the healthiest thing I've been able to come to say now is something, no need to apologize. I'm flexible. I'm here when you have the time. I respect your schedule is very busy. I'm patiently waiting for a time that is right for you, and you're, and you clearly get it. I'm excited that you remain interested, and you say that, you're going to be open at some time in the future, because you don't, especially in a traumatic situation. I think I have to be more cautious about, pushing it on, because particularly it seems that in situations where there's such stress and trauma, we have to be particularly sensitive to people's experiences and where they are and what they need at the time. Yeah. Leona, or?
Thank you. I'm really interested in this point of how to involve people, and I have some connection to healthcare professionals in Australia, and we're not under the same COVID impact right now. Our curve has flattened out because of severe social and physical distancing. I have a daughter who works in ICU and anaesthetics, so I have some connection there, but I have a colleague who trains final year medical students in communication skills, so I'm connecting her up. But what I want to really speak to is this idea that we work in hospitals or medical professions, same as teaching, in these highly structured hierarchical organizations, and there's a couple of entry points for inviting people in. One can be a horizontal invite, so it's all the doctors or all the anaesthetists or all the ICU people, right, or all the psychiatrists, or a vertical slice. So in ICU, or in a ward, it's everybody in that ward vertically, and also diagonal slices. So way more open, like, all the way down to the people who come in and clean. And I don't really mean down, I mean inclusive of all the people who come in and engage and interact in that team, and with those patients or students, say, in education. so that we really, somebody might enter at a horizontal. I just want to talk to other people who teach or doctors, because this is really about that practice. Or I really want to hear from people all the way through the team. Or I want to hear from people that I never meet, you know, because of but if you do a diagonal slice, you're actually connecting with people you wouldn't meet vertically or horizontally. So they're just ways that people might be, for me, curious about engaging. It's just an idea. And then another aspect, of course, is all of the people who come in as final year students on their practicums and rotations in, as they do start to engage in that. It can be a really supportive process, like here you are on rotation, same teachers, doctors, it's all the same, nurses. It can be part of their PD reflective practice that they're required to do and take back to their university or training organisation, that this empathy circle can really support that process for them and make that easy to do that. Probably usually a written reflection that's marked back into the system. Just a couple of ideas.
Yeah, I'd like to respond, but first, Edwin, I think you have something.
Yeah, just two things were coming up. One was it's just having the intention of doing it and holding that intention. I know that Anne from Calgary, Extinction Rebellion Calgary, she was trying to figure out how to get it started, Empathy Circle started in Calgary. It's like nobody was interested, but it was just having that intention, keep working. And then suddenly it's like somebody's going to do it, somebody are doing it. And then there's this whole kind of a snowball kind of happened. So it really is a large part, I think, of just having the intention, keep working at it. So that's one part. And the other, in an emergency situation, the pre-circle of the just empathic listening is sort of emergency. It's like saying, I'm here to offer you 15, 20 minutes of empathic listening, and just listen to whoever's in that need. And then say, this is the empathy circle, you can come and, so it's just offering free listening, for, 10, 15, 20 minutes to someone who's in real need. And in that case, you're kind of practicing it. You're applying what you're getting in the empathy circle and applying it. And that's sort of a first step. And I've done that with a lot of people. Just listen to them, especially on the political right. And suddenly they're your best friends and they just turn up all the time. So, yeah.
I just want to respond to something that Leona said. I really like, so I mean, we've been doing a lot of horizontal, like let's do a group of doctors, and I really want to, so we have a failure, well, we have new leadership in nursing, and we have a lot of leadership in nursing who have been very ill and been out, and so nursing is really in need of something like an empathy circle. So I'm getting ready to, and I'm positioning myself slowly to be in a position to offer that to them. And I think once it hits them, I think it will be really powerful. I'm just very excited about that for many reasons, including one reason that Bill is aware of, that, I've said previously that we know that women healthcare workers more are at higher risk and were more likely to have mortality and morbidity related to COVID-19, both from the virus itself and also the psychological sequelae of that. But the other thing I just want to say is, just when you said the team approach, the diagonal, and then, well, the diagonal made me think of it's introducing diversity, and then the vertical one made me think that of the team approach is almost like a more advanced empathy circle, because you're going beyond our just obvious superficial commonalities that we're say all doctors or all nurses, and you're having to deal with a lot of differences, both economic, inequities, differences in, social determinants and all of that sort of thing that are going to show up in the meeting. And those could be very challenging, but I'm looking forward to that down the road. But
I just want to keep us on time.
Yeah.
And just as part of that, the team, does Sharma and Divya, do you want to just say any kind of final comments, just to be sure we hear from you as part of that team?
Hi, Edwin. Thank you. I just had a question. It's kind of like open question, and I just wanted to know that, like, if in a circle someone is telling repeatedly or saying that whatever he is trying to say, the listener was not able to reflect. So what do you do in that kind of situation? I hope this doesn't happen, but I'm just trying to understand, like, how do you manage that? Like, if you feel the listener and the speaker, they're having some conflicts. So
yeah, so just quickly, that's where the facilitator can come in. Like they've been trying, they're just not getting it. The facilitator can sort of step in and do the reflection. They just kind of help kind of get it moving, and then maybe even have the listener just try it again themselves. So there's sort of different, ways, and there's where you're going to be having the facilitator training that Lou and Bill are doing. So these are going to be great things to kind of bring up there too. And just quickly, Divya, before we move on to Leona, I want to be sure we just
thank you.
Too.
Thing I had is I like Neetu said, I also called few people to come and join empathy circles. Some of them have hesitation as to, oh, it's going to be a video call. I'm too embarrassed to come on a video call. Can I just do without my video? Have you done any sessions where they have just been on audio calls? Does it make a difference when they do it that way?
It's been nice when they have video. That kind of deepens the connection, but some people just don't have video, and we've done audio, and still a lot kind of gets conveyed just through the audio.
Okay, maybe if I can convince them to come for an audio session first, and then probably they can move on to a video sessions once they are comfortable with the whole.
Yeah. So, okay. Phil, I didn't want to move on to Leona. We're kind of running out of time.
No, I understand. I'll be very brief, but just this is something, first of all, I want to recognize how difficult it is. I have a good friend of 30 years who I invited in, and I said, oh, I'll do a birthday. Instead of gifts, people will be listening. I thought it was a wonderful idea. He said, I'll send you a card. So you have to have a sense of humor about it. But the other thing, and this is a good friend also for years, so we got together for dinner. I kind of mentioned it. She mentioned what she was doing, and we kind of just passed like that. But now she's doing a training, and I've reviewed hers. So it's not a real quick and easy way to do it. But if you invest some time into somebody else, then certainly I feel much better about making that opening. Also, by seeing her training, I can see where the empathy circle process can actually enhance her training. So I have a couple of angles to say. We'll see how that turns out. That's all I got to say.
Okay, let me stop